with Pink and Maine. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be making some cards with the September 2022 Crafty Courtyard kit. The theme is Floral Pumpkin. Let's get started with our first card. I've got all my parts and pieces cut out and ready to go. I'm doing a top folding A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when folded. I have a fold in the middle of the front flap of the card. We're going to make an easel card. For the front of my card, I've cut a scallop rectangle with that dark orange wildflowers cardstock. And then I've cut from the pattern paper that little chevron pattern to fit inside. And then I cut them down the middle. That way I can fold my card up without having the fold in all my pieces that go on the front. So I'm going to glue them together and then they'll be able to fold up. Now we have both pieces glued down to the front of the card, and the card will still fold up in the middle nice and easy. Now let's make the shaker portion of our card. I've cut 2 ovals with our layered oval dies. The smaller one out of the yellow cardstock and the larger one out of the teal. The next thing I did is I took the shadow piece to the leaf die that's in the kit, and I cut that out of the yellow oval to create a window. And then I glued a piece of acetate or transparency sheet, or you can use some of the packaging from your stamps or dies. You just want a clear window, so I glued that to the back of my oval. And then I applied some foam tape to lift it up. You just want to make sure your foam tape completes the oval around, so that there's no places where our sequins that we're going to put in the shaker card can fly out of that shaker window. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the leaf piece, and I cut out with the orange cardstock the actual leaf with all the veins. I'm using our Easy Squeeze craft glue, and a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a lot of it. You don't want it squishing out. We're going to glue that right on top of the window there. You're still going to be able to see through all of it, which is really cool. So there, now we have a really pretty window with the leaf on it. It kind of looks like a stained glass window. Next, we're going to take our sequins from the kit, these beautiful fall colors, and I'm going to pour some onto our teal oval, the larger oval. We'll just get a good amount there. I'm going to spread them out just a little bit. And next I'm going to remove all the release paper from my foam adhesive. And then we'll carefully layer this over the base with all the sequins. I'm going to press around to make sure I have good seal with my foam tape so nothing shakes out. And there we have a fun shaker window. I'm just going to center that on the front of my card, but we're only going to glue it down to the bottom portion of the front of the card. That way the top part will stand free. Here is the front of our card so far. I love that shaker window. I'm going to add a couple of the glitter enamel dots from the kit to embellish the front of the card. And there we go. And we're going to put our sentiment on the inside of the card. You need something on the inside for the card to stand up against. You see, it just falls if you don't have something to put it against in there. So from the stamp set, I've stamped Best Wishes on your special day, and I've layered that with a couple of pieces of colored cardstock to go behind it. So now we have something that our easel card can stand against. So there's what it's going to look like sitting on your table. And there's the outside of the card. So fun to shake those. Next we're going to do an A2 size card, but it's another fun fold card. It looks somewhat like an envelope when it's closed. We've got a diagonal flap that opens that way and one that opens that way. And it's really just two top folding A2 size cards where you can see I've cut diagonally the front flap on each one. So we're just going to glue the inside of the card together. And then they're going to fold closed like that. To get them nice and straight, I like to hold it upright on the table, against the table, and line it up and then press them together. And there we have our fun fold card. Just a little something different. I've cut a piece of the light brown cardstock and a smaller piece of the stripe from the paper pad to go on the inside of the card, since you can see the inside while it's closed up. So the brown piece is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And the stripe piece is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. We're going to put our sentiment on the inside of the card again. So I have stamped Thankful for Your Kindness, and I'm layering that on a piece of the teal cardstock. And there's the inside of the card, nice and simple. I have also cut layering pieces out of yellow and orange cardstock and some of the pattern paper. I've used the plaid and the polka dots, the large polka dots. And in order to get them the right size, I cut rectangles first. From my yellow cardstock and the orange cardstock, I cut a rectangle 4 by 5 1/4. So that will fit nicely layered within the size of the card. And then for the pattern piece that goes on top of it, I've cut it 3 3/4 by 5. And then what you do is with your paper trimmer, you just cut it diagonally, corner to corner. So let's glue these on the flaps of the cards that open. This is a nice card to make duplicates with because when you cut this rectangle diagonally, you also have another half. So you can make another card with that other triangle piece. So here is our card so far. Again, we've got these little diagonal flaps that open up to reveal the sentiment, and it's nice and colorful. For the front of the card, I stamped and die cut the pumpkin from the stamp set, and I've colored it in using the stencil that's included to color it. Isn't that nice? We're gonna have to do that more often. I really like how easy that was. I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of the pumpkin just to pop it off the front of the card a little bit. And what I'm putting the pumpkin on is just a circle, but this is cut from our zigzag circle dies. So it has that nice little zigzag edge to it with the stitching around the inside. So I'm just going to place the pumpkin on that. And then we're going to glue this to the front of our card. See how nice that looks? It pulls everything together and gives you a nice focal point right in the center. Now the trick to gluing this down is we only want to glue it to the front flap. If we glue it all the way around, our card is going to be stuck and glued together. I'm going to add a few of the glitter enamel dots just to embellish a little. And here we have our finished card. Oh, I love that. And it's so fun and different the way that it opens. For our next card, we're making a top folding A2 size card. This is going to be a simple, I like to call this like a sketch card. So it almost looks like you use one of those card sketches to put it together. It's super simple and easy, but it makes a really nice finished card. So our two layering pieces are going to be the dark orange and this wood grain from the paper pack. The orange is 4 by 5 1/4, and I've cut the wood grain just 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So we have a nice thin border going around. And I take that back. As you can see, I cut the orange cardstock just slightly smaller than the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is the size of the card. So you have a really thin white border going around it. Next, we're going to add a strip of this teal gingham, which is really cute, and layer it with a yellow piece of cardstock behind it. There we go. And next, we've got another pumpkin that I stamped, colored with a stencil, and die cut it out. And then I die cut that thank you that's included with the dies in the kit. It's nice, thin script font. Looks really nice. And I'm just placing it before I glue it all down and seeing how I want it to look. So I think I'll do it just like that. And even though this kit has somewhat of a fall theme with the colors, the leaf, the pumpkin, I gave you sentiments that you can reach for all year round. So the sentiments in the stamp set are really good for lots of different occasions throughout the year. And now let's glue down that thank you. Now we'll embellish with a few dots and we'll be done. And there we go, just a nice simple card, but perfect for sending as a quick thank you note. For our last card, we're going to do another simple, easy, yet beautiful card. I'm using a side folding A2 size card, but I'm turning it so it opens up from the bottom. We're going to use it horizontally. I've cut the light brown cardstock to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and we'll glue that down as our base layer. Our next layers are a piece of the green cardstock and this piece of plaid. Oh, I love that. I love the colors in that. So I've cut the green piece 1 inch smaller than the light brown. So it's 3 inches by 4 1/4. And I've cut the plaid piece just a 1/4 inch smaller than that. So I'm going to glue those 2 pieces together, but I'm not going to glue them down to the card base just yet. I want to add some ribbon to this card. So I've cut a piece that's just a little longer than the piece I'm going to add it to. And I'm going to glue the edges and wrap them around the back. You just have to hold it a few extra seconds to let the glue dry a little bit and adhere the ribbon. And then I'm going to glue this piece down to the card base. So here is our card so far. Now I want to add a nice big orange leaf. I've also got the sentiment Autumn Blessings stamped and then cut out on some white cardstock. So let's glue our leaf together. I've used the shadow and the leaf piece in the 2 shades of orange that are in the kit. Now we have our leaf down. I want to tie a knot to add to the ribbon, just to add a little bit more texture, dimension to the card. It's a little extra something. I always put a dot of glue where I'm going to add my knot, and I put my second piece of ribbon just underneath the ribbon like that. I cross the polka dots over. The one I loop underneath. As I pull it out the other side, I turn it so that the dots remain on the top. Some people say, how do you get the polka dots on the top? You just twist that one that you loop underneath so that the polka dots remain on the top. Tie a simple knot and then I press it down into that glue. Kind of flattens your knot. It'll loosen it up a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to stay where it is because of the glue that's under there. I'm going to add the sentiment. And the last thing I'm going to do is just trim the edges of this ribbon neatly. And there we have our last card, clean and simple, but it's a beauty. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed these cards we've created with the Floral Pumpkin Crafty Courtyard kit. As of filming this video, we do have a handful of these left. You can find them over at pinkandmain.com. They're under subscriptions in the past kits. And until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.